If you're planning on applying for positions in parish ministry, in many cases you will need to have some sermon recordings ready to sit as a part of your application. Sometimes these recordings are required as a part of an initial application, but in most cases, they're requested after a committee or supervisor has decided to pursue your application further. You often don't have a lot of time to get the recordings to the committee, so ideally, you've prepared them in advance. Your second year of divinity school is an especially good time to start to collect your recordings and prepare them for your search the year following. It is recommended that you record every sermon you give while in theological school, whether those be written for your internship, preaching classes, or pulpit supply opportunities. The best sermon recordings are recorded in front of a live audience. Preaching is a shared experience, and you want a little paper rusting and crying baby sounds in the background. In addition to the realistic background noise, you just preach differently when you can see and respond to a congregation. You'll want some audio recordings and some video recordings. If you absolutely must record your sermons outside of a worship service, do invite some friends to attend the recording session. It will make your sermon better. As to how to collect these sermons, there are a couple of options. If your congregation records services, ask for a copy. You will probably need to do some editing to reduce the length, but these recordings are usually pretty clear, and you don't have to do anything to create it. If your congregation doesn't record, you'll want to do that yourself or ask a friend for help. If you or a friend have a smartphone, this is a pretty easy process. For Apple phones, the audio recorder app comes standard with the phone and does a pretty good job of recording most voice-based recordings. The sound is even better when paired with a microphone of some sort. For Android phones, you'll need to download or purchase an app. Two inexpensive recommended apps include HiQ MP3 voice recorder and RecFrog 2. All of these apps are simply push start and go programs. To video record, you need a bit of more help from a friend or a congregant. You can record on most phones and cameras. It is recommended that you collect that recording and just store them until you start job searching. You might create a cloud-based folder to keep them in one place. When you get ready to launch a pastoral search, spend a little time listening to your sermons and select the best ones to be used. You'll want about 4 to choose from. A few things to keep in mind. If your church tradition emphasizes liturgical calendar, you'll want to select sermons that represent your abilities to preach in different seasons or feast days of the liturgical year. If your church tradition preaching style is more exegetically oriented, select sermons that represent a variety of types of scripture. If your church is more likely to prefer different styles of preaching, select a variety of styles or approaches. You might pick one that is more justice-oriented and another that is more pastoral. An exegetical sermon or storytelling sermon might make the cut too. In all cases, try to select sermons that work for a general audience. Sermons that are tied to a specific and usual congregation may not translate as well as those that were written for a general parish setting. If you know how to do some simple editing, you might add a title page or closed captioning to a video sermon. Be sure to name each file with a title and your name. You can save your sermons to YouTube as an unlisted video and give links to committees on request, or save and send them directly to committees on file. You might give some thought to using a cloud-based service to send the files, as they can be quite large. With a little forethought, you can create a nice collection of ready-to-go sermon recordings that will give your search committees a good idea of your amazing homiletical skills.